Dummy Switch Pod. The boys are
Yes,
back.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
How are you,
sir.
Chris?
Ah, hey, look, I'm happy, man. I'm happy. It was a late shark attack, but you know what? All that matters is that we're in the final.
It was a celebration. A celebration. The Dan Carters of podcasting here to give you the rugby opinions. And
Hmm.
yeah, let's kick off with your Sharks first team, first South African team in a semi-final. And
Yeah,
it looked like they were playing at home. The atmosphere there, it even
yeah,
the way that it came across, the way that it came across on TV was it had that high school match vibe. The
yeah.
crowd were really into it. They were giving the ref every time a decision didn't go their way. And the performance is just it's underlined a new character that I think the Sharks have, a new team spirit, and it's underlined that man, Sia Masuku.
Masuku.
And firstly, I'd like to issue an apology. The last episode, I said, Nohamba's ready to make that step to the box, and I said, I don't know, Sia, maybe it's things are happening too fast. Maybe we need to progress him slowly into the box. But after performances like this, I have to say, he's ready. He's ready.
Yeah, no. He's ready, man. You have to love it. Flawless performance of the boots. But yeah, like you say, I
And
think
he's normally just to add on to that, he's normally
yeah,
around a 70% kicker. And
mm,
he's 100%. So that what does that show? BMT. It shows in the moment
yeah,
he could step up to make those kicks, and not necessarily easy kicks.
easy kicks. No, true. So you have to give him his flowers. I think. Look, we've been giving him his flowers, man, because he's just been racking up those man of the match performances.
Yeah.
And look, what a game to do it in, and to underline his value for the Sharks. Going back to what you said, atmosphere, amazing. I think they did well to make it feel like a home game for the Sharks. Even
Yeah,
though
they
we
even
went
had
at
the
home,
mascot there. They even flew the
you know,
mascot over.
yeah, man. They use that Rock Nation money, to get the mascot in there. But yeah, look, overall, you know what? I think the approach from the Sharks it ended up benefiting them, when they were taking points. Because Clermont were hot.
Yeah.
They started very, very, very well in the first half. And it honestly looked like, at halftime, it really looked like it was going to be a bridge too far for the Sharks.
To be honest,
But
I actually have to disagree and say that Clermont didn't play even in that first half particularly well.
yeah,
They kept infringing. They couldn't get territory. They were trapped in their own half, giving away penalties. I think the penalty count at one stage was 8-1 in the first half. They they were being outplayed. It's just
yeah,
that attacking strategies that they had to attack out in around that 13 channel, combined with the
mm,
fact that they have these dynamic loose forwards.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
guys really showed um a particular type of player that can trouble the Sharks. Loose forwards getting their hands free,
mm,
dynamic
mm,
running. Almost like centers. That Fijian Samoan type of flair that they showed,
yeah,
combined with the attacking channel. That wing Durant was having the game of his life as well. He
yeah,
picked a game to
yeah.
have. So I wouldn't say they even play particular well. It's just that they found joy in those areas where they could make it count.
Yeah, and look, and they did make it count. I think maybe that's why I'm leaning more towards that they
Yeah.
had look, because of the score in the first half, they had the better half, in that sense, the better
Yeah.
footing in the game. But again, you have to credit the Sharks, whatever was said at halftime, and they just rolled up their sleeves and they fought for it. I think that's the key thing that you also mentioned, is that this newfound character that they have, and it's
And
not
that's what
surprising when you
exactly what you're saying. Neil Powell said at halftime, we need to force them to play our game because right now
yeah,
we're playing their game, and this
mm,
is going to be a test of character. Those exact
yeah,
words that you said, he said it's going to be a test of character, and they
mm,
proved on the day that they were up to that test.
yeah, and it's not surprising. I mean, like, you look at, yes, the Koch was there, Mbonambi was there, Ox is there, just the work rate of that pack. Tuka starting to even look even more and more comfortable,
Yeah.
in the Sharks jersey. You're starting to see those little, those flashes of what he was doing at the Lions, and you can see how influential and how vital he is actually, I think to the Sharks' future going forward. Pepsi, man, look, he's just been Mr. Consistent the whole season for the Sharks, regardless whether it's been Euro C or Champions Cup. And again,
For him,
look,
Pepsi as well. Pepsi, the later stage of the game, when you see players dying out, is when you see Pepsi kick it into another gear. I think the last 20 he had was a big last 20.
Yeah.
The carrying he was doing for that the try with the box kick where it's a bit forward. It was from a platform where he took it up. Every time he takes it into contact, he's spinning in contact, getting extra meters. Big performance from him, especially like those last 20. And that's digging deep.
Yeah, it is, and look, and credit to that, to the whole team, whole squad. I mean, even fast in that game, I got that yellow, but his attacking impact for the Sharks, you can see how vital he is, and especially for the Sharks to hang on like they did, especially when he was off and get the try, and again, it speaks to, how much more they wanted it, because at the end of the day, this is really all that they're playing for the rest of the season. It's nothing but pride and in the URC, but then now in the Champions Cup, there's silverware on the line for them. They've got something to play for, and who would have thought? And it's there for the taking. And I mean, even you see with that not Bimpy try. You spoke about loose forwards or in the centers. Almost like that Fijian type style. You saw Chituka's impact there with that. That around the back ball that he managed to get. It was really good, and it just shows what the Sharks potentially can do, especially once they can get it going, But
they showed there's passages in this game where they really put it together. There's bits and pieces where they put it together, and this was when you start to see that full potential. That where the best example of it is in that try where they combined a good kicking game, backs and forwards linking, and then there's just that spark, that flair, that quality. So it's there in bits and pieces. Although I will say, you mentioned them having an all BOK front row. The all BOK front row got eaten alive. They were under pressure. They chose to have a scrum, right in front of the post there, and there was a tight head. It wasn't going well at scrum time for them, but at least in other areas of it, it was surprising as well for me. You wouldn't expect to see those guys go backwards. But Koch, I will say, around the field, he is making a very big difference around the field.
No, he is. Look, okay, not knowing too much about scrums, it can be a 50-50, and sometimes you're on, sometimes you're not, but
no. They were getting dominated because it was the same thing over and over.
But for me, the pleasing thing about the Sharks, this game, is that they didn't allow that to sort of, push them into a hole, where they didn't have any other options. It's good to see that they're not just relying on one weapon, is that they realize the weapons that they've got, all around, and especially within that back line. I think, once, you give them the opportunity, they can get that ball with a 10 that's doing what he's doing, in Masuku. They're different. It's a different team, different picture, and look, at the end of the day, I'm just glad we got the win. We're in the final, and we got something to play for, and it's a chance for a South African team to make history within this, the Champions or Challenge Cup. So I'll take it. A lot to work on still. There's still definitely a lot to work on.
The restarts in particular for me, a lot of the points that Clermont got were off restarts. Even a lot of their tries, Ox, he got stripped in the tackle, took the ball. They were able to build phases. Even there, you saw defensively, you could hear Mapimpi shouting for Lucanio, and he just didn't shift in time. So there's things like the restarts, getting the defense set. For me, I'd say those two are the main things. The scrum, I think they just came up against a pack that's just better on the day. Like next game, you're unlikely to face a pack that's going to outscrum you. So for me, it's just the restarts. It's something very, very identifiable and something that you can fix week to week. So I'm not too disheartened about that. You talk about Masuku. There was no Bosch. There was no Hendrickser. Bosch on the bench. So Masuku, now he's got to play the 80. Hendrickser, he's someone that can steer the ship from 9. He's not there. Grant Williams is a different type of scrum off who did improve on his box kicking in this game.
He did.
But it leaves more responsibility on Masuku in terms of steering the ship. So it was good from him. And the thing I like about him is he's a playmaker. He plays flat, and it's that quick thinking. It's that doing a cross kick with your left foot when you're right footed. He's pulling out things where he's big time players make big time plays.
Yeah. And big time players, they got that sort of time on the ball like he does.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, look, I want to see him, get him that tracksuit, take him for some measurements, get him in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it myself. In this game, obviously some guys that had good games. I think Bapimpi was good, Koch was good.
Yeah.
Around the field. Cabran Kobler, Sharks fans always seem to have a problem with him. I rate him as a player. I thought he was good.
Yeah.
Mkhunu, he came on, he was a bit lucky. Collapsed at the 1 scrum. It should have been a penalty, but he got away with that. So we'll keep hushed on that one. But it's again.
That's why I say, okay, besides the dominance of Klima, that's why I say some of the calls, within the scrums, it's that referee's perception, and it's 50-50, it depending sometimes how the guy feels, he can just say, no, it's I feel sorry for these guys. No, let me give a
yeah, you saw I'm saying don't feel it's the second time. Don't feel sorry for these guys. And to be honest, it should have been a yellow card. But the ref swallowed his whistle on a number of occasions. And I personally I do think it was a yellow that taking them out in the air a second time.
Yeah. We see that a lot. We see that too much, actually. We see that too much on the kicks.
Yeah, Fussy, I thought it was a yellow. I didn't think it was a penalty try. I don't know if that's just bias of being, South African bias, but I felt like there were 2 players covering and the bounce of the ball. So I will, and then Mkhunu obviously falling there. I felt like he was scared to make the big decisions, which at the end of the day, it paid off for the Sharks. They traded, they traded decisions, which you do. So, I mean, I guess it worked out in the end.
Yeah, it worked out in the end, And like I say, look, we're going, we're going to the final, man. We are there.
Yeah, no, it was a good performance. Just in the dying minutes, I was just like, guys, just don't put on Cameron Wright. Whatever you do, don't put on Cameron.
Yeah, look, it was good to see Grant Williams do a whole 80. I think even guys like James Venter, I think he also, he had a good showing. Emil van Heerden as well. I think he's also been, also been close to almost consistent every game. I think Francois Venter from the shocking outing in the previous game, I think when he came on, he had a better, a bit better touches as well, so a lot of things to like, a lot of positives, definitely. I think the win will give them the confidence. Still, like we mentioned already, plenty to work on, but at the end of the day, in the final, anything can happen. So, off to the 24th of May, or when is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're there, and then it's back to the URC for now, and we gotta see what's gonna happen there.
Yeah, back to the URC. But before we get there, I actually want to have this discussion of greatest BOK FLYHALF ever. It's been a hot topic. It's been a hot topic, and I'll kick it off by saying, personally, I've been a critic of Pollard. I
Yeah.
am a critic of Pollard,
Yeah.
but for me, greatest BOK FLYHALF, you can't argue against winning. You can't. He's
No.
had
Yeah.
two World Cup finals. He won when it mattered. You can't.
Yeah.
There's no one else I feel that you can bring up in the conversation of Springbok
Yeah.
FLYHALFs to say that this guy is, because we're not talking about most skillful. We're not talking about
Yeah.
best kicker. We're talking about the greatest.
Yeah.
Even in terms of skill, I think there's better fly. I think Altiniakis is better than him. But you know, that's my opinion. In terms of Super Rugby, we saw what Altiniaki was player of the decade for South Africa in the Super Rugby. But we're not talking about Super Rugby. We're talking about the greatest BOK FLYHALF. And you can name guys, but to win on that bigger stage twice, I don't think there's anything, because guys are saying no, at his peak he was on the bench for Montpellier. In the Premiership, he's just about average in terms of his performances. To me, I feel like Pollard has also had a lot of average performances, probably the most average performances at FLYHALF for the Boks than any other FLYHALF. But at the same time, he's also won 2 World Cups.
Yeah, and he's also played the more often than other FLYHALFs. So we've got to balance it out. And I completely agree with you there. If we're gonna look, he is, greatest BOK FLYHALF. And when you look at let's look at even from junior box, he's won it at under 20,
Yeah.
So you're already there. You could see that, he's got that thing. We saw when he was first starting out, and that All Blacks test at Ellis Park, taking it flat to the line, you could see that potential. And going back, just on a quickly backtrack, going back to the reason why we will be critics of players that we know that will believe or we want to do better. Where we've seen that, listen, they've got that, to that ability to do better and deliver, those top tier performances. And with Pollard, you look at this 2023 World Cup, and you look at, the story behind it for him, where he initially didn't even make the squad, and then to come in and do what he did, kicking all his goals, in those knockout games. There's no better FLYHALF. He is the greatest. I mean, he's got the most points in the final for a FLYHALF in the world.
Yeah.
So that already should settle the argument that, who's the greatest BOK FLYHALF? That's him. And like you say, you can't argue against winning. You've got no argument against winning. And
for example, because they're saying, for example, Esterhuizen came out and said Marcus Smith is like the best FLYHALF he's played with. That's great, but Marcus Smith doesn't start for England even. He doesn't. He hasn't won a World Cup. He hasn't won 2 World Cups. So I mean, it's great. You can say that, and I'm sure there's guys that play at other unions that also feel that their FLYHALF is better than Pollard.
Yeah. No,
but when it counts, when it matters,
I bet you if you had to ask that, rephrase that question to Andre Esterhuizen and say World Cup final or World Cup semi-final or final, who are you picking, Marcus Smith or Andre Pollard? I'm telling you now, you'll pick Andre Pollard. They must ask him that question. That will clarify for us, what he means, by what he's saying, So maybe he's saying Marcus Smith the best in terms of, the attack and the flair. It looks good. It's nice. He's got the goose. He's got, he's got something, But look, they must leave Pollard alone. He's earned the right to be, the top number 10. I think.
Yeah.
In the longest of times. I mean, not even Dan Carter won two. Not even Johnny Wilkinson won 2. Not even Sexton just got them 6 Nations, So what are we saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are we saying? Because technically he's the only FLYHALF. He's the only 10 that has won 2.
Yeah.
So he's the guy. He is the guy.
The guy. And if we're gonna talk about his successor, personally, just a short one on that. Masuku, back to back, the man of the match over and over again. We've seen Nohamba transform the attack of the Lions. consistently over the period of just about a year now. You've seen Liverpool go to the World Cup, win a World Cup medal. Yet still, people are going to say Sacha must play fly half for the Springboks. I don't get it. That's like you at work. How many years of experience? You've been doing the job. You've got all this. Then they say, no, this guy had good matric results, so he must take your job now.
No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. You know, let's see Sacha nail down the 10 position at the Stormers first, consistently.
Has he got man of the matches? Has he? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's see him there at 10 do the things at 10. You know, in order for us to judge him on 10, because you know, when last did he play for us 10 for the Stormers? You know, look, we're not saying he's a bad player.
They play Mattia ahead of him at 10, and they played Blomekis even at one stage ahead of him at 10. So there's a clear mandate that he's not playing 10. And when he does, I mean, we're not seeing back-to-back man of matches. So I think we must also settle. I think South Africa, we also have this propensity to look towards the youth, the next big thing, you know. Yeah, and we've seen it sometimes doesn't work, and we'll end up rushing players into positions where they shouldn't be. So we'll have that conversation when they get there.
Yeah, let him develop. Give him the time. Let him, you know, allow him to go through his natural progressions, you know. But because right now, if we were to put, you know, together and say, okay, you know, like now the June tests are coming up, is it Wales, Portugal? And they say, okay, you must pick a Springbok 10, you know, right now, of the guys that are playing, and let's say Pollard is not available, you know, and let's say Liverpool is not available in that instance, you know.
And that also goes to my point that if Liverpool is available, that means the Stormers are not available, which means that he won't even get a chance. So I don't even understand that logic. But even by that logic, you know, I would still say I would pick Nohamba first, then I would pick Masuku.
Yeah, look, we had this chat, you know, last week. You know, you'll pick Nohamba first because he's 9, and then Masuku at 10. I understand. I know, I get you. You know, I get you there. You know, so but that settles it. You know, that settles it. You know, so look, let the young players, let them develop, let them have their showing. You know, if they're shooting out the lights and they're showing that thing, rightly so. You know, within their position, but. You know, when last did we see him on the field? You know, if we're talking about that, you know, let's start there. The guys that are playing now, you know, like we mentioned, Nohamba, Masuku, they're doing the business. Libok is still in the picture. You know, let's not forget that. Let's not disrespect the money man. You know, let's not disrespect him. You know, because he's still in the picture. So, you know, but hey, it's hard, eh? It's hard.
Yeah, those box selections, I think we're gonna, you know, be talking about that more and more as
it's gonna be fun. You know, it's gonna be fun. That's what we want. Because
that's our favorite time as SA rugby supporters. There's nothing we love more than training squads and that kind of thing. But back to URC, Dragons versus Stormers. Stormers sending a strong team on tour. They need the points. It's against Dragons.
Yeah, they're obliged.
They'll clap hands for Brock Harris because he was, you know, a good servant of the club, but then they're gonna beat them handily. Then Bulls versus Glasgow. Bulls at home. Glasgow team at the top of the table. I expect Bulls. Obviously, we're saying this out, seeing team sheets. I still expect the Bulls to win at home, especially.
Tough one.
It will be tough, but especially after the Munster defeat, I feel like they'll you know,
they're gonna set the record straight.
We've learned our lesson. We need to lock in. So I feel like they'll get that one.
Yeah. I see that. I see that as well. You know, I think they'll have to. They're gonna have to set the record straight. You know, Glasgow. We know Glasgow. They play good attacking rugby. You know, but now we're getting closer to the end of the rounds. You know, so we gotta get the points stacked up. So I think the Bulls should do something there. You know,
Sharks versus Benetton. I'm expecting the Sharks to win if they put out the same team that played this past weekend. If they're playing their Currie Cup team, Benetton, I think, will get the better of them. So, I mean, it just depends on the coaching staff. If, they're willing to play those guys after the week that they've had, if they're going to rest guys. But I think there's 2 matches before the final. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, look, the fellow semi-finalists, but only the one is in the final, so look, Benetton as well. Benetton have been a problem, recently for some of the South African teams, and just the Sharks URC. So I think they should pull this one. I just have a feeling, regardless, even if they do make some changes, I don't think they will make too many. I think the Sharks should sneak this one. At the end of the day, it's about pride for them. So yeah, go with the Sharks.
Then Lions versus Cardiff, 2 teams around the same place in the log. Lions at home. I think I'll go for them. They have to. It's now do or die, now or never.
Yeah.
So again, I'm hoping to see the kind of team spirit we saw from the Sharks. It won't be quite there, as it's not knockout rugby, but it's almost like knockout rugby moving into the closing stages.
Yeah, and look, it can push them close, to top 8. I think if they can get I think they'll have to target a bonus point, and hopefully the Sharks do them a favor, keep Benetton out. And all the other results, there's a lot of it's just congested, and that, which is good, it shows how competitive this league is, so Lions are not the shout, and I think at home, after the nice break, hopefully, they come out and they're ready, but yeah, at home they should take it, man.
Yeah, I might have to put a parlay together, all 4 SA teams, a sweep there. See the odds on a sweep.
I don't want to shout too much about the brooms and the dustpans, because it seems like every time we do that, we get a surprise. We get a surprise. So look, I'm saying that they should, Sharks, Lions, they should get the wins, but all it is, it's another exciting round of URC. I almost said Super Rugby. It's not. But this is
any closing remarks? Any closing remarks, Chris?
Look, like I said, getting to the business end of the season, it's all about points for Bulls, Stormers. They're still within it. Lions have a chance. Sharks is just pride, so let's go for South Africa. For South Africa.
For South Africa, and for the kids. It's kids round, guys. Let's win.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, guys.